Most AI agencies fail, and I think it's because the founder doesn't really know how to run a business. You can be the best builder in the world, but if you don't know how to price, sell, and deliver something that clients actually want, you're done before you even start. So let me walk you through a few mistakes founders make and how you can avoid every single one of them. Number one I want to talk about is no KPIs or urgency. Now, this is something I've actually discovered a bit more recently, but you can imagine if you were employed, you'd have KPIs set against you, right? So you'd have key performance indicators. If you're in sales, it would be you have to hit this many emails a day, or you have to do this many calls a day. If you're not doing that, you're behind in your KPIs and we'll call you out for it. The manager will pull you in for a meeting, you're shitting yourself, you haven't got a clue what the fuck you know what they're going to talk to you about. And sometimes you can have that conversation. I've had that conversation quite a few times in my sales career. I've sat in an office with a manager who's gone, look, you're not hitting your KPIs. Yes, your sales are okay, but we need you hitting your KPIs. Now, the reason my sales was okay because I really tried hard to learn the skills. But the people I was working with who didn't really have the skills and they weren't hitting the KPIs, they weren't doing the numbers, they weren't doing the calls, they weren't sending the emails, they weren't doing the prospecting, so they weren't making as many sales. And you get sacked. So you need to treat your business as if you are the employer of that business. And this is something someone told me, a good friend of mine who owns recruitment businesses. And he was a lot older. He said to me, you need to start really treating yourself as an employee. Don't think you're just a bloody freelancer or a director or business owner, whatever. Just think of yourself as an employee of your own business. Set yourself KPIs and make sure you hit that every single month. Imagine, think in your head, what's the worst case? For me, the worst case scenario was to go back into a job. But you could also think, worst case is for me to not have the freedom I've always wanted or something like that, right? Just think of your worst case scenario, have that as a sticky note on your wall, and understand the kinds of KPIs that you're going to need to, what's the minimum you should be doing? For me, that's 15,000 actually. I've got it written down. It's 15,000 emails a month. So many meetings a week. I want at least 5 meetings a week. I know it doesn't actually sound like a lot. I do hit that quite easily, but 5 meetings a week, I've worked out I'll be able to get a client. I'll be able to get money in. So it is going to increase, but 5 meetings a week, I'll be able to close after 20 meetings a month. I'll be able to close. And to be fair, I've had that KPI since I've been in employment. I always wanted 5 meetings a week, 1 meeting a day. So I knew I'd be able to get something over the line. That was always my KPIs. And another thing is the urgency. You need to have urgency. Now, I spoke about this before on my channel. I think the reason I succeeded so well at the start was because I was just riddled with anxiety. I was riddled with it. I'm getting it a bit now. It went off for a bit, if I'm going to be honest. It went away, and I'm getting it a bit more now, and it's good. I actually like it. Obviously, it's not a nice feeling to have, but it was like, shit, if I don't do this, I'd be working all day. When I first started, I was I was up in the morning at 6, I'd be at the gym, I'd come back for probably about 7:30, 8ish, and I'd just work till about 10 o'clock at night because I was doing YouTube videos every day, I was trying to get clients in, etc. I was non-stop working, and the thing that fueled that work was the anxiety that I had. It was crippling. I couldn't sleep. It was horrible. But that's why I performed so well, is because I just didn't take a day off. I was working weekends, everything, and trying new things, building new systems, increasing my skills. And that's why my learning curve was steep, but I managed to, I wanted to be on that learning curve. I helped myself by learning a lot quicker than I think a lot of people probably would. And the reason being is because I had that urgency. I had a real big sense of urgency every single day that was fueled by anxiety to go out there, hit my KPIs, get the emails out, get the calls in, get the meetings booked, and get the sales calls in and clients in and make some money. Number 2 is perfectionism. And I know 90% of the people watching right now will suffer from this too, because it's so common. And did I have it? Let me just think about this for a moment and see if I actually did have perfectionism. I don't think I did, because like I said, I didn't wait for the perfect moment to reach out. I outreaching with some messy crap copy. I didn't know how I was going to deliver anything. I didn't know anything. I just went out and did it. I just fucking just learned by doing it. I was good on the sales call because of, if you've watched my live sales call on this channel, if you haven't, go have a look. But if you've watched it, you see the confidence that I had when I was selling at that time in my career. I was just, I think I said in the live sales call, you'd be stupid if you don't buy this. I actually said that to a prospect, and the guy bought. He bought. That's the confidence that I had. It wasn't like, I didn't have a perfect system. It was good. It was a working system. It was the cold email system, but I wasn't waiting for the perfect moment for anything. I literally just went out. I was just building, emailing, just doing everything I possibly could, everything at scale to get that first client in. And it wasn't, I wasn't waiting for the perfect moment. It was literally just boom, hammer. Just I was trying everything to get a client in. And if you're not doing that, there's no drive. You need the drive, and you need that ambition. You need to actually want to do it. That's got to be my main bit of advice, is you got to want to do it. And sometimes it drops off. There's times when I've had to give myself, very recently, a kick up the arse. I'm going, what are you doing? This is not anywhere near what you've been doing previously. So I gave myself a huge kick up the arse. Again, I'd put something on my wall just behind you. Something like, the sticky note doesn't work anymore saying you're going to be back in a job if you don't. It just doesn't work anymore because I've built up too much cash in the business. And maybe that's where this sort of relaxation came from, is I built up so much cash in the business that I was like, I can sit here for 2 years just chilling really, and then I could maybe struggle in 2 years' time. But that's not the mindset you got to have. Once you're hitting a certain threshold, it's got to be like, right, boom. You got to then double down on it 3 times, 4 times the amount to hit the next threshold of 6 figures in a month, whatever it is. Whatever it is. I'm not saying that's my goal. Well, obviously it is, but whatever your next threshold is, you've got to hit it. But you've got to have your goal and go out and fucking just go and hit it, and stop trying to wait for the perfect moment, because it won't come. Just go out, fucking do it. The next one is no clear offer. I'm not going to speak too much about this one because there's not loads to say really. But it's a pretty obvious one. I've talked about how you can make offers in your, in your emails and on your LinkedIn. What is an offer? It's as clear as, what are you offering? What do you do? What is, if you can say it in one sentence, great. That's what you should be doing. Say your offer in one sentence and you've got your offer. Is it clear? Is it something they can easily say yes to? Is it something they could understand straight away? Is it something you can say in one breath? And just go out and hammer that offer. Test a few, see which one works the best, and just hammer home that offer. But it's got to be clear. It's got to be a clear offer. And if you don't believe in that offer, you best believe your clients or prospects are not going to believe in that offer either. You have to have full confidence in it. So in the sales call, again, I'm going to reference this again, that's back on my channel. I've done a live sales call where I spoke to a prospect who turned into a client. And I knew my offer, and that's what gave me full confidence to then go out and speak to him about the offer, knowing that it would do him so much good as well. And that's how I was managed to get it over the line, because I had a clear offer. I believed in the offer, and I articulated that offer really well. So next bit of advice would be just think of an offer. Now, I know if you're selling the cold email system, an easy one would be like selling leads or selling meetings booked, but that positions you as a lead gen agency, and there's plenty of them around. There's not as many, well, now there's obviously getting quite a lot automation agencies, but there's not as many as there are lead gen agencies. So you don't want to position yourself as that if you're selling the cold email system. You want to position yourself as an AI infrastructure specialist, or an AI growth specialist, or an AI strategy specialist, something like that. And articulate that offer in a good way. Don't just use ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. Don't use an AI model. Use your brain. This is the thing with us automators, is that we have the tendency to just hammer, or just speak to ChatGPT and that's going to run my business for me. But everyone else is doing it. So if you want to stand out, you've got to do things that people aren't doing, and people aren't using their brain, especially in the AI and automation space, because we're so used to using AI. So another bit of advice would just be, use your brain. Just think, just sit and think. Not enough people do that nowadays. Your sales skills are poor. And let me tell you, there's only one way to get better at sales skills. And it's not reading books. It's not watching Jeremy Minor. It's not watching Andy Elliott. It's not practicing in the mirror. It's getting on sales calls and speaking to real people and selling your actual own service. That's the only way you're going to get better at sales. You're going to understand, you're going to go red a few times, right? I've done it so many times when I've said something, I thought, why the fuck have I just said that? And I felt myself heating up. The rest of the sales call goes shit because I'm so worked up on what I've just said, that absolute crap sentence. But that's how you learn. You don't want to make that mistake again, so you can analyze it. The best thing you can do, and this is just cringe, I know it is, but the best thing you can do is record yourself when you go on a sales call. Record yourself and watch it over and go, okay, that was good. That was crap, but that was good. I want to say more of this. And sometimes then, because you're listening to it over and over again, in your next sales call, you sometimes just come out with a worldy line, right? Like, this is just a worldy. I don't know if you Americans, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying when I say worldy, but like an incredible line or something like that just works and it rolls off your tongue so well, and you just know that, okay, that landed quite well. And because you've then watched it back, you'll go, okay, that I didn't even realize how well that landed. And you'll now continuously say that in your next sales calls, which is huge. It's gonna build so much more confidence. So look, if you have 50 sales calls over the next 6 weeks and you don't close one, good. Like that, from your first one to your 51, good. But record your first and record your 50th and look how far you would have come. On that first one, you would have been like this. Hiya. And on your last one, you would have been, all right, fucking David, how you doing? You know what I mean? The confidence you'll be a different salesperson. But if you don't get over that barrier of understanding that you have to be on a sales call if you want to close deals, you have to be on a sales call if you want to get clients, then you're just not going to succeed. If you shy away from them, then no. Chase a no. Shift your mindset. This was good for me, and just say, look, I want a no today. I want a no. And suddenly you'll become a lot more indifferent on the call. You'll stop talking as much and you'll listen and you'll go, right, this is the pricing, take it or leave it. Well, that's it. And because of that, you'll get more sales. And just always have that sort of mentality. Just be like, look, whatever, before you get on the call, be like, I want this no. I want this person to say no. It sounds stupid. I know it sounds stupid, but it's worked for me. So I want this person to say no. And I was very indifferent. It wasn't like, fuck, this needs to work. Please buy from me. It's like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And in the end, they'll go, yeah. And you're like, pardon? But yeah, look, sales skills. You need to, obviously you can read books, you can learn about negotiation. There's a good book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. That's the great one. So if you want to read that, and you can look at Reels and Instagram and all that from Jeremy Minor, just don't be convinced into buying it. You can do all that stuff and put it into practice, absolutely. But yeah, just the only way to get better at sales calls is to take the sales calls. Last but not least, one-off builds. And I know you're going to think, fucking hell, his last 2 videos have been about this. Shut up about fucking infrastructure and selling them as a recurring revenue and all this. But, and to be honest, this probably contradicts me, because this is how I started. So it might actually be a little contradiction. And let me just explain why I've put this in here. Someone who maybe doesn't have, he doesn't have the, just the sales skills or the experience working in corporate worlds, the experience of having high pressure jobs, or someone who doesn't have the, I want to say, like, mentality that I have. This is where it might be a bit different for you and you might struggle, is because one-off builds, you need some kind of business knowledge and acumen to actually then deliver them. They're a quite easier sell, is because people own it, right? And it's a quite easy sell because that's something you can say. It's like, this is yours to keep. I'm not charging you monthly for this. You just pay it one off and it is yours to keep, and you can drive ROI long into the future. This is yours to have until the ROI on this will be in the thousands of percent for owning it. That's just the simplest sell, really, with a one-off build. But then you've got to come to delivering it, and you've got to understand project management. You've got to understand how these things work. Unless you get a great client who's really patient with you, you've got to show some kind of professionality here. And that's where one-off builds just don't, people will struggle with them because they won't understand, or they'll flap when it comes to the delivery side and the training side, etc., etc. And you're also, I'll put custom builds into this as well. People are just going out there, outreaching with fucking anything, nothing sticking. They're literally throwing shit at the wall and hoping that it sticks. And I'm afraid that's what burns a lot of people out. They get confused, they doubt themselves, and they think, okay, this isn't working, so fuck this. I'm going to learn SSMA, or whatever it's called, SMMA or MMA. So yeah, I think one-off builds for certain people it's going to work, but for a lot of people it's not. I think you really got to have a good mentality. You've got to understand what you're doing beforehand. You've got to understand how you can deliver this stuff. And yeah, that would be my advice on one-off builds, and why I'd probably put them into this aspect of mistake. But like I say, it's a bit of a contradiction for myself, because that's how I started, and even to this day, it's how I've made the most money. But it just gets to a point where it's not enjoyable. So that's pretty much it. If you're building an AI agency right now, I really do hope this helps. Basically, track your KPIs, simplify your offer. If you think you can really handle, selling one-offs, then do. But otherwise, stop it. Just maybe decrease your pricing a little bit and get those first few recurring revenue clients in, and learn to sell, I'm pretty sure, and stop trying to perfect everything. That's how you turn, clever systems, which is what these are, into, recurring revenue, which is what everyone wants. It's the basis of a successful, scalable business, I think. And I've made pretty much all the mistakes there that I've just showed you, and I've fixed them. So yeah, I teach everything inside my school community. I know you're going to hate me for saying that, some of you, but just look, I wouldn't be doing my job, because that is also a business, if I didn't mention my community. So don't hate me for mentioning it. Yeah, links below if you want the help with everything there. But other than that, drop me a comment, tell me that you love me. Please don't tell me that you hate me. Like, because it helps, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.